DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're joined now by Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews, talking Big 12 football. Brett, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. We have talked to several people about the Big 12 race, and it seems like the consensus is it is wide open. Depending on the person you're talking to, there's at least 5, maybe 6 or 7 teams that can win it all. Do you line up there, or do you see it a little differently? Have you been able to separate a couple teams out?
Yeah, well, this is the 14th year I've done Pick 6 previews, my preview magazine, and I got to say this is the most wide-open conference I've covered in 14 years. And I say that because they just had their Big 12 media days, and the coaches voted on their preseason poll. They picked Kansas State and Iowa State. Those two aren't even in my top 5. So it is so wide open. I could see all 7 or 8 teams winning this thing. It's a really deep conference, not really any real dynasty, which is kind of refreshing. No recruiting powerhouse at the top. I guess you can call Texas Tech that now from the transfer portal, but no legacy brand like that. So it just makes for a real competitive football and a wide open run. But the two teams I have meeting in Dallas, I picked Arizona State, the defending champion, bringing back 20 starters, and then Texas Tech, a team that really upgraded from the transfer portal. They signed 13 4-stars. It's more than the whole rest of the conference combined. So I think that talent infusion is enough to put them over the top in a really deep conference.
You broke up a bit. What was that first team you said having in that final?
I said Arizona State, and maybe that's a little bit of chalk because they won it last year, but statistically really strong last year. And then they bring back so much of their team, it's hard to ignore. I know they lose a big piece at running back with Cam Scatterbo. He was an All-American caliber guy, probably the biggest Sun Devil star since Suggs maybe in 2003. But yeah, that's a big piece at running back they lost, but I like the rest of this team to contend and make it back there. I mean, it's really deep. I mean, I consider Baylor, I consider Utah, TCU's a team no one else has ranked. I've got them in my top 25. So this thing's really deep at the top.
You didn't break up. It's just that I'm a graduate of that school in Tempe. I was playing with you.
Hey, I'll say it a third time. I mean, it's got to feel good to hear. It's got to feel good to hear if you're an alumni because they are back on the map. They were so forgotten the last couple of years after Herm Edwards left. There was the potential sanctions. They were left for dead. I think they were picked dead last year. So, yeah, total resurgence for Arizona State.
Yeah, Herm Edwards is not one of my favorite guys.
Yeah. Well, if you're an alumni, I don't blame you.
The Texas Tech money. Is it going to make them a big dog? Is it going to separate them out the way USC, Oklahoma, Ohio State have been separated out from leagues over time? Maybe not so much with USC in the Big Ten now. We'll see how that plays out, but you get the point. Is that really got staying power, or are these the kind of checks that can't be written every year and the rest of the conference just has to get through it and it'll all even out?
Yeah, I think that it remains to be seen. I think that when you're looking at this specific case, it looks like a big boost for one season. It looks like they all went all in on 2025. All that money was towards the transfer portal, a lot of it. And like I said, 13 4-stars, that trumps the whole rest of the conference. So I don't know if it has staying power. I don't know if that's going to be an annual budget or if this is really they're putting all their chips into the center of the table here for 2025 in a wide-open league. In a playoff setup where the winner goes to the playoff automatically, could host a playoff game in Lubbock. So I think those boosters really went all in. And I don't know the structural changes that are going to take place here now that the new House settlement went through. I'm going to catch up on all that legal stuff now that my preview book is published and out. But I think that the game is changing a little bit. So I don't know how reliable that's going to be every year to go all in with that kind of budget. So I think it's a generational type moment for Texas Tech. They better capitalize on it here in 2025.
You talk about putting teams in the playoff in the automatic bid. For years, the Pac-12, it was like an albatross around their neck that basically, they couldn't get a team when it was the 4-team playoff, and it took on a life of its own. I related it to like a guy like Phil Mickelson who hadn't won a major, and with each major, the storyline would grow, and then obviously he finally got one and got multiple. I'm wondering if you think that will apply to the Big 12 because everybody wants more than one. If one conference is getting 3 or 4 and you're only getting one, that just doesn't look good for you. So do you think that becomes a problem until they start getting multiple teams in, and maybe they get them in this year?
Yeah, they could get them in this year. It's possible. A lot of it is that they play that ninth conference game And that's just another round of losses. And I think we talked about this one back in the Pac-12 days. I was a huge Pac-12 fan. Even though I'm based here in Pennsylvania, I was up till 2 a.m. East Coast time watching that Pac-12 network finish up. I mean, I thought it was great football out there. It's just that they were the first ones, I think, to go 9-game conference schedule. And it's just math. I mean, on that 9th weekend, when you're all giving each other another round of losses, that knocks people lower down the totem pole, that knocks them out of the playoff bracket. Meanwhile, the SEC and the ACC are playing FCS teams for a cupcake win. So I think that 9th round of games really hurts for a playoff thing like that. But if you look at it, you could have a great year. I mean, some of these years bounce back. The Pac-12 in their final year, 2023, they had so many playoff caliber teams over there. They had the Heisman winner. They had Washington and Oregon, and Utah was good. So it can happen. I think you got to take care of business out of conference. Really got to clean up those schedules and go 3-0 in the non-con. And then maybe it's just math that maybe it'll work out to get multiple bids.
Where did you have BYU when you thought Retzlaff was going to be the quarterback, and how far did you drop them once you realized, okay, they're going to be breaking in a new starter here after some kind of competition in the summer?
Yeah, well, first off, I was really a fan of BYU last year. I thought that when we were talking about playoff scenarios and such, I was surprised they weren't getting enough national attention. It was a team that was 10-2, had a win over SMU, who was going for an at-large bid themselves. Game I was actually at down in Dallas. So I thought that BYU would have been highly considered. I had them 10th in my game grader formula last year, 10th in my poll last year. So from that starting point, I was high on them last year. I have some questions for this year, obviously the quarterback being the biggest one. But even the receiver core got hit a little bit there last year, didn't get the bonus year. And then Marion departed from Miami after spring ball. Yeah, there's questions all over the place for me, but I had him as a fringe top 25 team, in that 25 to 30 range. And then when the quarterback uncertainties came about, and ultimately, actually the day before I published is when he went into the transfer portal. So that really shook up the room and the offense. Now you're turning to two former MAC guys, non-AQ guys, and then Bear Bachmeier, who I think might end up winning the job. You guys are more on the scene there, but I think he's got the highest ceiling, and he was getting some first-team reps at Stanford before he transferred. So I'd probably go with him, but you're still talking about an 18-year-old true freshman. That's such a tough ask, especially without a spring ball or a winter conditioning. He's coming in with really 6 weeks till kickoff. Yeah. So that really that worried me. I got them right around 40th. They're on the top 40 board, but a little bit lower than I expected.
It seems like once we get into October, and certainly by November, you turn on Game Day or Big Fox, and they're just talking about a select handful of teams. And, unless you're a fan of those teams or covering that conference, those teams, it gets a little boring because it's a been there, done that thing. I'm wondering if you think that the depth of the conference, which is so true. I was in Dallas, Frisco there for the media days, and everyone was talking about it. And it's a fact that the league is very deep. And you look at the SEC and the Big Ten may not be as deep, but they're so top heavy. If the quality of the conference, particularly with all the quarterbacks coming back, because last year the conference was the year of the running back. This year there's multiple quarterbacks coming back who can throw for 350 yards and 5 touchdowns basically in any given game. If all that can keep the conference in the news, so to speak, in the headlines, even if it doesn't have a top 5 team nationally.
Yeah, and that's a perfect comparison. I just made it to the 2023 Pac-12, the Pac-12's final year. They had so much star power at quarterback, just like this league does. They had the Heisman winner with Caleb Williams. They had Bo Nix. They had obviously Michael Penix. Yeah, Penix almost won the Heisman himself. A ton of star power, and that's where it starts. I mean, the quarterback is the face of the program, like it or not. So with all these great signal callers, I did a thing for the first time in my book. An all Big 12 team, you have your quarterback and your other 11 positions. I had to stuff extra quarterbacks onto the all Big 12 team. I have like 3 quarterbacks on the third team. There's just so many that I had to give recognition to. I could see that happening. And I also that's one of the reasons I went into Pick Six previews and launched my book, because I thought that all 68 of these teams needed to get full and complete coverage. And I noticed that some of the national shows, they hone in on a handful of teams, like you said. And I'd say this, I think the quality of the conference is deeper here than it is the ACC. I know the ACC has Clemson, but that doesn't account for the lower half of that league with empty stadiums and rosters empty with talent. I think the Big 12 is much deeper. They pack their stadiums. They have passionate fan bases in the Big 12. So I can't wait to watch this league unfold.
Of all the quotes that came out of the Big 12 Media Day, usually you can't remember all the stuff, right? But coaches will say one or two things, and we tend to latch onto that. And what Kyle Whittingham said, he was asked if it's the best. He was talking up his offensive line. They've got 2 tackles who could be first-round draft picks. That's a fact. He said the other 3 guys interior, any one of them might be drafted also. And then he was asked if it was the best O-line in the country, and he said, well, I don't know about that because I don't study all these other O-lines. But in the time he's been at Utah, it could be his best O-line there ever. Do you think the O-line is that stacked? We know he wants to run the ball. If it is that stacked, are they just going to be blowing people off the line of scrimmage? Should we be outthinking this offense, or in year one here with the new offensive coordinator, is the O-line going to be so good? Keep it simple, man. Just run it, and is anyone going to be able to stop them? What do you think?
Yeah, well, first, the offensive line, it's rare, but they bring back all 5 starters, and they bring back all 5 in the 2 deep. So you're talking their top 10 offensive linemen are all back. Extremely rare continuity. A couple headliners there with Spencer Fano. He should be a first-rounder. He'll get all-American attention. But, yeah, so I think when you look at them last year, some of the stats look kind of poor, but I don't know how much to blame on the offensive line. I think it was just a broken offense down to their 4th and 5th-string quarterback at times due to injury. So I don't want to fault them too much. I think it is a really strong unit. They check in at number 10 in my top 10 of offensive lines heading into the season. I think it is number 1 in the Big 12, though, for that matter. And, yeah, I thought it was interesting, too. The offense collapsed, and he made a change there. And where's he go? He turns to the number 1 rushing offense in the country, New Mexico. And I think they're going to do their famous run the ball, stop the run at Utah. Similar formula to what has worked at BYU, at least offensively, with that physicality. But, yeah, you're going to see that again. It's going to be a physical Utah offense, and they better be able to get a run push because I don't see too much game-breaking talent at receiver for them. So it's going to have to be run the ball. It's going to have to be a consistent line push. Their quarterback, Dan Pierre, is really elusive in the pocket. He's going to have to create himself on some pass plays. So I'm fascinated to see this offense at the Power 5 level. It obviously dominated it in Mexico and the Mountain West. We'll see in this league, but I can't wait to see it.
So we speak of the depth of the conference, and that's their strong point. So you're always going to push your strong point because it's a media blitz and you want to have your best foot forward, so to speak. I get that. But do you think the conference actually needs a big-time team at the top where everybody's chasing? That actually would give them more publicity in that way.
Well, I guess it's all what you're looking for. I mean, I'll compare to the ACC again. I mean, is the ACC a better league because they have Clemson? Maybe, but that's not really the be-all, end-all. I'd rather have a structure like the Big 12 where you could have as many as 7 teams in the top 25 coming into the season. You're not going to find that in the ACC. I mean, I'll give you Clemson and Miami this year, and maybe some will argue SMU, but that's pretty much it for top 25 caliber teams. The Big 12 is so deep at the top. So, no, I mean, I'm also biased here. I don't work for the TV networks. I'm not looking at TV ratings, right? I'm looking at competitive, fun-to-watch football, and for my answer there, I'd go all Big 12. But I'm not in charge of the TV numbers and all that. Maybe it is better to have a rabbit at the front and everyone's chasing, but I'll stick to what the Big 12 has. It's going to be fascinating this year.
To PK's earlier point about if you have this depth, could the league go out? They've got 5 games against Power 5 teams week 1. How close can they come to going 5-0? Could they actually pull it off? You have to beat Nebraska, you have to beat Auburn, UCLA, North Carolina, Georgia Tech. Can the league make a splash right out of the gate that makes people watch them?
I think so, and you're going to have to if you're going to talk about multiple playoff bids. I think you need to take care of your non-conference games. It's going to boost up the resumes for everybody involved. It'll lead to more ranked teams, and you know how it looks on the screen when you got 2 ranked teams and you got ranked wins on your resume. So it all comes back to you got to dominate out-of-conference games. And that list of 5 teams you just rattled off, I don't think any are in my top 25. In fact, but they all are in my top 35, the top 40. They're all competitive, solid teams. So they will carry some weight if you can win them, especially the Baylor-Auburn game. I think that's going to be big. Baylor I have projected 3rd in the Big 12. Auburn I think I have 9th in the SEC, which sounds bad, but that's still about a top 30 ranking coming into the season. So that Auburn game's huge. Nebraska-Cincinnati is also big. That's on the opening Thursday night. That'll be national TV for them. Of course, Coach Satterfield at Media Days said this is his deepest team yet, and I tend to agree with him. It's especially defensively a lot of talent back. So yeah, those headliner games you want to grab them because, like I said, it puts you into the top 25, and then when you're playing ranked versus ranked, it gets the bigger attention, and it all cascades into getting multiple bids. So it all starts week 1 and week 0. Got to take care of business. Got to win some headliner games.
Speaking of headliners, we've been talking to you now for 15 minutes or so, and we have not mentioned Deion Sanders. What is going on in this world?
Yeah, there it is. I mean, you're due for some of those quotes, and there he was at Media Days. The story never ceases to disappoint. But I thought arguably maybe the Mike Gundy quotes about not knowing what NIL was and not, thinking it'd go away in a year and not installing anything, that was interesting too. So, yeah, never a lack of sound bites from the Big 12 Media Days. I think I need to get down there next year. It seems like must-see drama in a way. So I'll try and get down there next year. But, of course, we have the SEC kicking off today, and there's going to be fireworks there too. So it's that time of year.
All right, well, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for talking about all of this. And, you want to give Arizona State one more shout-out so PK will be happy.
What'd you say?
There you go. Forks up. There you go.
Forks up.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate it, Brett. Brett Ciancia. Pick 6 previews. Same story. Everybody sees it the same way. Are we all wrong?
No.
We all saw it the same way last year.
No.
And we were wrong.
We can't be wrong.
Somebody could go 9-0 and the rest of the league beats itself up and somebody separates it. Wouldn't that make us wrong?
No.
No.
Because
we can't be wrong. I love this.
There's too many teams that don't play each other. So they're going to be similar records within a game. Even a 9-0 team, which would be awesome for the league. I think that'd be sweet. No matter who it is. And I would root for 3 teams to be 9-0. Mine and the 2 here. I'd take any of them. That'd be great. But I think then you're going to have not much separation. And we had it in the situation with TCU when they did it. And then they get beat in the conference title game. So were they really the best team, or did the schedule break their way in terms of you didn't play this team, they played that team, all that? I think that, and now it certainly could happen, I could be totally wrong, but I think that was part of the deal last year, is that these teams, of the 4, maybe played 2.
Yeah, there's 6 potential matchups in there.
Yeah.
And a lot of them didn't get played.
Right.
You didn't see them. That was the match of the bowl game. The BYU Colorado game didn't get played.
Right.
Okay, good.
It was fun.
Play it in a bowl game.
Right. It wouldn't have been near as fun if they had played each other. And if they had played each other, well, then one of those teams wouldn't have been there.
Right.
So I think that the size of the conference now, because they're so huge, that it lends itself to this as maybe the primary reason, but there's also other reasons that go into it, injuries and who's available on a given week and which way the ball bounces and all that type of stuff that we see with football.
But if you have a decent team and if you get the favorable schedule and you don't have to play a bunch of the big dogs, you could be Indiana.
Yeah.
That was their story.
Right. And they, to their credit, they beat all those teams, and the ranked teams they played, which was 1 and then 2 in the playoff, they lost. And that was it. Now, you got to give those guys credit for winning the games and all, but really, who they play in that way. And a bunch of average, once you got past below the 4 in the Big Ten, a bunch of average teams there running around, and you should beat them. Somebody's going to beat them. And so I think that's what we have here with this Big 12. I hope that there's a 9-0 team, because you want that discussion into November. You don't want to just have it drop off.
You want them on that top spot. You need them on that top spot.
Yeah, I got turned off by game day, because once we get into it in November, when all the focus on Saturday is college football, no one's talking about anything else in November on Saturday. And then obviously it flips to the NFL the next day. But Saturday they own November, I think. maybe the World Series or whatnot. You can
in October. There's still stuff going on,
right.
But that's over in November.
Right,
yeah.
and that's the height. I don't think about anything else but football once we get to November, and because we don't have an NFL team here, and I don't have an NFL team.
Yeah.
80% of my focus is on that. I flip it on Sunday, but then it's because you got the conference race. And the NFL, they still got 6-7 weeks to go in the regular season. We only have 4. And the rivalries are right around the corner. In BYU, Utah, I realize they're not doing it
at the end anymore.
Yeah. But, last year they played in November, I think, right? So that was good enough. And so, I think that to have if you got to have at least one team in that discussion, preferably 2 or 3 for the Big 12. That would be ideal. I want to see the Big 12 succeed. My school's in it, Arizona's in it, and then our schools here are local. I want this thing to get as much run as it possibly can, because what I don't want is down the line having another break off and then these teams get left out. Like Oregon State and Washington State.
Yep.
I feel for that. I feel for Washington State and Oregon State in the manner I felt for Seattle fans when the Sonics took off. They didn't do anything to deserve that. That sucks.
That it does.
Yeah.
And yet there's the hand you're dealt.
Right, but it's
money talks and all that emotion walks, but we're not in sports for the money. We're in sports for the emotion.
Yeah, I'm in for my paycheck, and the emotion is what drives the paycheck. I mean, for years, I would look at the schedule and think, oh, no, the Devils got to go to they've got to go to Corvallis in the 3rd week of November. It's going to be freezing rain.
Yep.
It's going to suck. Or my guys are going to get hurt. They play on that concrete. All those things. And now you don't have that anymore. I miss that. And so now I want the Big 12 to run and fly high as much as possible.
DJ PK, Steve Cleveland coming up. We'll talk Summer League hoops with him at 9 o'clock. More football in a minute. A lot of you are weighing in on the rivalry question. We'll get to that. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.